So what I wanted to do first is sort of introduce myself and my background. I actually graduated from HCC. I also took my instructor training there as well to become an instructor. So all of my educational background has come from HCC. So I know the system as a student, I know it as an instructor trainee, and I know it as an instructor. Um, I have been in the industry for over 10 years, managed salons for about half of that as well. So I have quite a bit of experience outside in the salon, and I still work in a salon. I'm a full-time instructor, but I also work at Ulta Beauty in the salon. So still, learning and keeping up with the industry. And I wanted to first explain what cosmetology is. Some of you may not know what it actually entails. Cosmetology, you learn hair, skin, and nails. So there are schools that provide places where you can just learn hair, where you can learn barbering, or just nails, and just aesthetics, which is skin. But we provide all three in cosmetology. And if you want to practice throughout all those three, you would need a cosmetology license. You wouldn't be able to get like a hairdressing license and do nails as well. The only thing we don't teach is a straight razor, how to use one, and you would need to go to a barbering college for that. Otherwise, we cover everything in the cosmetology field. I wanted to take a minute to describe what the program is like. It's a 3-semester program if you finish on time. So it takes about 1.5 years. It's structured through the first semester will be all theory and lab where you learn the basics and you work on each other. So you'll be doing haircuts on a mannequin, you'll be doing manicures and pedicures and facials on your fellow students, and you practice that way. And in your second and third semester, you will actually do the same. You will be in theory and you will work in lab, but you will also be on a clinic floor where you will take in clients. Now your teachers are there to support you, but you will be actually servicing clients and learning how to do that in your second and third semester. I also wanted to take a second to explain the difference between your grades versus your hours. So in the cosmetology industry, when you come to HCC, you are required to graduate either with a certificate or a degree. And then you are also required to get hours, clock hours to get your license. So these are 2 separate things. You would totally be able to get good grades, pass all your tests, pass with an A, but if you don't show up to class and you don't get your clock hours, you wouldn't receive the hours you need to get a license or to apply to take your license. So when you're in the program, not only do you need to receive good grades to pass your courses, but you also need to show up and get all of your hours so that when you graduate and you have all those hours, that you have them to take your state licensing board exam to become a hairdresser. You could finish and graduate from HCC, but you also would, if you don't finish your hours, you would still need to come back and get all those hours to get your license. So it's important to get good grades to pass and finish with your degree or your certificate, but it's also really important to show up to all of your classes because you are going to need those hours to take your licensing exam. So it's important to be there consistently. And there's also a lot to learn. Missing a day or 2 is actually a huge deal because you will miss out on foundational things that are important as you move along. If you miss one of your haircut days and then you get that person on the floor and you didn't do that haircut, it can be very terrifying. And we, again, will still help you, but it would have been better to show up to class in the first place. I wanted to talk about how to be successful in this program. One is showing up like that. I was also a student again at HCC, and I wish I had spent more time in class than I did. And I think being a really young student, a lot of the times you get distracted by other things, going to the beach or hanging out with your friends. And while those things are fun and important, you lose out a lot in this industry. In this industry, information, knowledge, experience is worth its weight in gold. So having a lot of time with your instructors, you tend to squander it when you're really young and you're new and you don't think it's that important, but it was really eye-opening to me when I got out into the field to realize that things would click and I'd be like, oh, you know, Miss Jessica told me that, or oh, I have heard that and it makes sense now. And I probably would have learned a lot more if I showed up and was consistent. That, and like I said, if you do not finish your hours on time, you do have to come back and finish them. It's not an option to not get your hours and you wouldn't be able to take your licensing exam. So to be successful in this program, you need to show up, and it's a heavy duty program. You are there from 7:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon. It's almost like being in high school again. So it is a very demanding program, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 3:30. And you are also around the same people all the time. You are going to see your instructors and the other students more than you are probably going to see your family and friends. So a huge important part of this is showing up and also getting along with everybody. It's not one of those programs that you can walk in, peace out at the end of the day and go. You're spending 8 hours with the same people every day. So it's important to connect with your classmates, connect with your teachers, build good relationships and good bonds so that you can be really successful in the classroom, in the program, and also when you leave. You'd be surprised how many of your fellow classmates you will still know 10 years from now. About half of my classmates that were at HCC with me, we still see each other. We still talk to each other. We all, if we need help or if I don't know something they know, I call them. If I have clients that I need to give to somebody else because I'm working too much, I forward them over to them. So building strong relationships in this program is really important. It may not seem so at the time, but it really is. I wanted to go over our expectations in the program of everyone. We do have a little bit of a stricter, let's say, like dress code and like conduct that we have inside our program because we are servicing customers. So we do have a dress code. It's a fairly simple one. We also take into account that, you know, people can't be spending tons of money on different things besides your education, but it is a requirement because you are going into an industry where the way you look and the way you present yourself is really important. So having a professional look and also having a good repertoire with people and being able to service people is hugely important. So we also have some very strict conduct rules. How you get along with your fellow classmates and also with your instructors is really important. So we have some high expectations of how you are going to behave in the program, how you're going to dress in the program, how you're going to present yourself. I would like some of you to think of what your expectations are of the program. So in the last 5 minutes when I can take some questions, if you do have any questions, please ask them. Think of anything that I'm talking about that you would want me to expand on or you're curious about. Every time I say that I work at Ulta, every girl in the room lights up. They want to ask me a million questions. So if you have them, write them down so that we can talk about them at the end. But also, importantly, what your expectations of the program are. Please let me know if you have any questions. I wanted to spend some time on your, like a career overview, what you can do with a cosmetology license. What you can do with a cosmetology license, again, hair, skin, nails. Only thing you wouldn't be able to do, you would be able to work at a barbershop as well, but you wouldn't be able to do straight razor shapes. Again, the only thing we don't teach. But if you wanted to become a hairdresser, if you wanted to become a nail tech, esthetician, or work in a salon that has all of those elements, absolutely able to do that. And you'd also be able to be a business owner with those, with a cosmetology license because it covers everything. So You wouldn't be, if you wanted to open a salon and spa, you could do that because you have a license that covers everything. Instead of, if you were a hairdresser, you would have to bring in somebody that was a nail tech or an esthetician so that you would open that business and have somebody with that license in there. So that's one of the benefits of having a cosmetology license. Also, there's a lot of things that people end up doing. If you wanted to go into a brand like Redken or Paul Mitchell and travel and sell their products, or do high-end hair for them, there's a lot of things that you can do with a cosmetology license that's not just cutting hair in a shop. You can get into education. I became an instructor, and there is licensing for that as well. So you'd have to go back to school and get your license, and you can teach. But that is an option as well, one that I thoroughly enjoy. I'm really glad I did. But you have a lot of avenues that you can go to with the cosmetology license. You're not just pigeonholed into cutting hair for the rest of your life. And in this industry, it is ever changing, especially with social media. I was a hairdresser before social media was a thing. So trends didn't happen that quickly, that it changed too much. And now everything is just rapid fire. Everything changes constantly. And as this is an excellent time to get in the industry if you are a creative person, because you are going to constantly be evolving. And if you don't like change, I do not suggest you become a cosmetologist, because times are constantly changing now. Fads are constantly changing. And with the social media influence, it's become quite a fast-paced industry to be a part of. So to be successful in this industry, first of all, you have to understand it is a very demanding industry. And I mean that in several ways. One, it's very physically demanding. You are on your feet all day long, from morning till afternoon. Usually shifts are about 8 hours. And most people don't realize it, but standing on your feet, lifting up your shoulders, cutting hair, shampooing people, blow drying them, it's a very physically demanding industry. And so, of course, it takes time to get used to. My first day of work, I was almost in tears because my knees and my feet hurt so much from standing for 8 hours straight, and I just wasn't used to it. But it is something you definitely adapt to. But just be aware that you are going to be on your feet all the time. Your shoulders are going to be in use all the time. Your arms are going to be in use all the time. So it is a very physically demanding job. Also, it's a very time-consuming job. When you begin in the industry, it's a very seniority-based industry. So if you're new and you come into an interview, I used to manage quite a bit of salons. If you come in and you're like, oh, I can't work weekends, I want Saturdays off, I don't wake up until 9, I don't want to start work until 10, I'm not going to hire you, because you're new and you need to earn your place in this industry. It's a very, very much seniority-based, experience-based industry. And I've noticed a lot with the new generation, younger generation, I don't think they're quite as used to that. So I like to prepare my students that you can't just choose to throw in a resume with these very demanding hours where they're based on your comfort. You are definitely going to be working lots of nights because nobody wants to work nights. You are definitely going to be working weekends. The hair industry, or the cosmetology industry in general, beauty industry, when everybody else is on a break, you are working. So on holidays, during Christmas, during any sort of affair that's important, prom, anything, graduation, that's go time. That's when they need you. So there's no, oh, I'd like to take spring break off. Oh, I'd like to take the 2 weeks of Christmas time off. They actually have blackout dates in most salons where you are not allowed to take vacation during those times, because that's your money-making time. So this is an industry when everybody else is relaxing, that's your craziest time, when people are on summer and when people are doing things where normally you want to be out and going and doing things and having fun, you're going to be working. So it is a great industry if you are a hustler, because that's when you make your money. And I spent years doing that, of not having Christmas off or not having Thanksgiving off, working those days because people need to look nice for their parties or Mother's Day. I never had a Mother's Day off because all the moms are coming in and getting their hair done. And so this is definitely a very busy industry. It's not something you really relax in. It's also can be very emotionally taxing as well, because you are kind of a therapist. You are a person that they come to and they want to feel good. And so a lot of times they tell you about themselves, tell you their stories, complain about their spouses, complain about their children. And so you really have to be good at talking to people. And I do have a few shy, really shy introverted students who are wonderful at hair. And you will attract the kind of people that you are like. So if you are an introvert and you love doing hair, don't worry, you will definitely attract other introverts to you. But in general, you need to at least be good at talking to people, presenting well, and being able to communicate and problem solve. But ideally, being able to be social and talk to people, putting them at ease, is definitely really important. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the benefits of cosmetology, which is, one, it's a very rewarding industry. It is, like I said, a tough industry, but it's worth it because you make people feel better about themselves. You can give them the best version of themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've actually had people cry, and it's not because I did anything super spectacular. It's because I took care of them for a few moments. And for especially like a mother, that is something that they don't have all the time. And so being able to make people feel better about themselves, give them a place to be, to relax, enjoy their time, take care of them, is super important. So it can be a very rewarding industry. So please don't be too scared by all the other things I said. It also is your chance to give back to people and take care of people and make them feel good about themselves and empower people to take care of themselves and look their best. It also is a great industry if you love to travel. So we're always going to need hairdressers. If this quarantine has taught us anything, everyone needs a hairdresser. And so traveling is wonderful when you're a hairdresser. I lose stylists all the time, and it's because I could just pick up, go to another state, get my license there, and definitely find a job. It wouldn't be hard. Would I be exactly in the salon I want to be? Maybe not, but I could get there and I could get a job and I could get paid right away. So being able to travel, pick up and go, also move around, or even learn new things. When you get out, you will definitely pick one thing that you were comfortable with and then move on. I started off with haircuts, and then I got really deeply into color and updos. So it's a very ever-changing creative industry. So if you're a creative person, this will definitely be wonderful for you. So I was told that at 1:20 that I should give the last 5 minutes for questions. So does anybody have any questions?
Mahina, thank you so much. That was excellent. And you know, you are right. We all need hairdressers, that's for sure. I mean, I waited how long to go see my hairdresser through the quarantine, and I know she is so busy now.
Yes,
because everybody is making appointments and everything. Oh yeah. So much appreciation to the hairdressers. So in terms of the licensing part, can you explain that a little bit more? Is it a state? Is there a national? Do you get it within the program? Would you graduate with a license?
Okay, so the way the licensing works is, like I said, the grades and graduation are separate from your license. It is state by state. So each state, you would be required to get a license in each state. So if you had a state of Hawaii license and you moved to California, you'd have to get a California license as well. There's an exception that if you travel a lot, if you have 5 licenses in different states, you get a universal one. Other than that, it's per state. So for Hawaii, if you finish your hours in whatever school programming you're doing, it's 1,800 for cosmetology. You then apply for your license at the state board, which is on Merchant Street, and you apply that way and take a licensing exam. If you pass a licensing exam with a 75 or higher, you have a state board license for Hawaii. And then if you move to another state, you would be required to get one for that state as well.
And how long do those licenses last?
They, as long as you keep re-upping them, they last until you don't pay for them anymore. Every odd numbered year, so let's say next year is 2021. 2021, at the end of the year, I need to renew that license. So it's every 2 years, every odd numbered year, you pay for a renewal and you re-up your license. If you don't and you let it lapse, you have to retake the licensing exam.
Okay, so it's like a driver's license, kind of.
Kind of, yes.
Okay, so are there like professional development courses or, you know, things that people can take through the years to improve?
Absolutely. It's unfortunately Hawaii's so small. We have very few classes. We do have some, so you can research it, but also a lot of the supply houses, if you don't know what a supply house is, a beauty supply house carries all of the color and blow dryers and such that you can go purchase as a licensed cosmetologist that isn't open to the public. They advertise a lot of classes there. Unfortunately, there aren't that many in Hawaii. So if you are very interested in ongoing education, one, online is a great option because, especially now, everybody's gotten really good at teaching online. And two, the ability to travel to other states that have a lot more classes. But yes, ongoing education is really important. Like I said, the industry changes a lot. So you are constantly going to be learning everything. I went from learning like ombre to baby lights to, you know, like just everything constantly changes. So you will be updating yourself constantly.
Okay. How about, can you talk a little bit about the cost of your program versus the cost of like a private cosmetology program?
Okay. So the cost is you pay per credit for the program. So it's vastly cheaper than going to a private school. So we have several on the island. We have Paul Mitchell. We have Hawaii Institute of Hair Design, which is a barber school. And I think, don't quote me because I haven't checked in a while, but I think their programs are about 20 to 25,000, maybe more now.
Wow.
Yes, it's vastly more expensive than the college is. So for the college, you're paying per credit, it's a lot less. And you do pay some upfront because you have to buy a kit. So in your freshman semester, if you entered, let's say in the fall, the kit's around, I want to say almost 3,000. So upfront, you are paying a bit, especially even if you have financial aid, because that financial aid won't kick in yet. So you will pay some upfront. But overall, the program themselves are vastly different in price. HCC would be a much cheaper option. The only difference is you will be semester based. So that means you have to take the program through the school. So you have to take it per semester. Whereas a private school, they operate 6 days a week and you could get finished quicker. You could finish in say a year instead of a year and a half, but you would be paying about what, $15,000-$20,000 more to do that.
Well, and I remember hearing too at one point, some of the private, not all of them, but some of the private programs, you cannot get federal financial aid. So you end up having to take loans out and things, whereas your program, you would get federal financial aid, you know, through the government, and it wouldn't be those huge loans you'd have to pay back.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, so how, I have this as a two-parter, how much can you make, and then how long into your career until you have some freedom to maybe get your own place or schedule yourself a little bit better working for your family into your career?
How much you make depends on how much one you work. So when you start in the industry, it is going to be slower. One, because you're newer. It's going to take you a lot longer. I could do 3 to 4 haircuts in one haircut for a student, or even 5 haircuts with somebody just coming out of hair school, because I've been doing it a lot longer and I know what I'm doing. So in the beginning, you will make less because it's going to take you longer to learn those skills, become comfortable, become efficient. And that, even when you become efficient, depends on what you end up doing with it. If you work at a supercuts, you will definitely make a living wage. But if you work at a private salon where you take a lot of clients, and especially for people who have been in the industry 30 years, they make a lot of money because they have a large clientele. So I think the best thing to say to that is, one, work as much as you can with what your schedule is, and 2, become really good at what you do. The better you are, and also know that in this industry, people come to you because of you. I could do the same haircut as somebody else, but they like me better. So a lot of this industry isn't just technique, but also how you take care of people.
Yeah.
So I can't give you a number because it depends on how hard you want to work. This industry is good for that. If you are a hustler, you will make money. If you are lazy, you will not. And
okay,
then
sorry, go ahead, Mahina.
Sorry, there was what the other part of that question was what?
Oh, I think it was how long into your career before you can have some freedoms to either like buy your own salon or make your own schedule.
To make your own schedule, as long as you've been in a salon, I would say a couple years, and in the same salon, because every time you move around, you start over. You need to build seniority wherever you are. I would say like 2 to 3 years before wherever you are, unless everybody keeps leaving and then you become senior just because everybody's leaving. But I would say about 2 to 3 years. But the first year, don't even think about trying to tell anybody what to do.
Okay, and one last question: what are employers looking for when people are trying to get a job in the cosmetic industry?
That's a huge one. That's actually a really good question. So I've interviewed hundreds of people because I run salons. I'm looking for a person that is good with people, willing to work hard, and shows up. Now, technique I can teach you. I've met maybe 2 or 3 people in my 10 years that literally just couldn't be hairdressers, and it had to do with the fact that they couldn't learn the skills. Everybody else, hundreds of people, technique will come, skills will come. It'll come in time, it'll come with patience, and it'll come with help. But I cannot teach you to be on time. I can't teach you how to be a good person. I can't teach you how to work really well with others, and to respect each other and other people's space and other people's time. So if you are a hardworking person, if you've got a good attitude, if you come to work on time, if you show up, that's what I'm looking for. Even as a student, that's exactly what I'm looking for, because I can teach you almost anything. It may take some people longer, but I can teach you almost anything. But I can't teach you how to be a good person. So I want somebody who's willing to work and work hard, especially in this industry. That's what we're looking for.
Thank you, participants, and thank you, Mahina, again.
Of course. Thank you so much, everyone.